Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for finding us today on the TNAM. Well, here, let's do the full intro. Just want to make sure we're streaming in the places we're supposed to be streaming. Takes a moment to set up. There we go. Live on Facebook. On the TNAM. Well, here, let's do the full intro. There we go. Just want to make sure we're. Please make sure you're following us on Facebook. Although they are tied for our least favorite company with Instagram and YouTube. We prefer X and Rumble. So I'm going to send this out to our three groups. TNAM's the Agree to Disagree Show. TNAM Fake News, Debunking Conspiracy Theories and Propaganda. See? And TNAM Preparedness. I'm going to go say, join us live. Sent. Perfect. Let's make sure we are actually streaming on Rumble. Perfect. We appear to be streaming on Rumble. Let's get this party started. I'm broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is April 16, 2025, and this is the TNAM AM Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree Show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Did that not play? Oh, it didn't play. See, I did the pause, and it didn't happen. The intro. All right. Thank you for joining us today here on the New American Media. Please jump into the chat room, leave your comments. We're going to be moving fast and getting through a lot of information today. So first, I'm going to ask that you follow the New American Media. Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. First, we're going to talk about treason most foul. What is going on with the CIA, Brennan, Obama, Clinton, and their 2016 coup? We're going to give you some Butler plot updates. Yeah, where they tried to off President Trump. These people, they are the enemies. It has never been more obvious that these people hate you. They hate your country. They hate your freedom of speech. They hate your freedom of religion. They hate that your dollar can purchase anything. They want to make you as poor and helpless as possible so you're controllable. That's been the way of the land for a long time. And it's never been more obvious who the bad guys are, the bad girls. Hillary and Obama and Brennan and CIA and what they've been doing to weaponize our own government to steal our money to then fund the enemy to attack us. If you wrote this in a movie, it would be like, oh, come on. Come on. Nobody would stand for this. It's not, come on. They would never get away with that. Oh, stop. It's just so unbelievable. Well, good morning. Welcome. Wake the up. Wake up. This is the world we were born into. And this might be the one chance we've had in a while to move forward and make sense of it. Defeat it. Reverse it. Flip it and reverse it. What's that? I don't know what she says. Missy Elliott. I don't know the name of that song. Freak. Flip it and reverse it. That was the whole point of what I was getting at there. We can flip the system and reverse the system. But we better go full speed right now. And we better maybe slow down a little bit on some of these. Well, it's Schrodinger's immigration. We have to speed up because 30 million illegal alien invaders were dumped by the deep state into this country. And if there are people that want to work, there needs to be a system in place where you sign up, no social security numbers, no voting, fully vetted health, fully vetted criminal background. And if you're here for 20 years, 15 years, 12 years, 11 years, 10 years, and you're not committing crimes and you're not on welfare and you're working, then I think you learn English, you defend the rights of religious liberties and freedom of speech and our Second Amendment right to defend ourselves from both enemies, foreign and domestic. If you're going to decide to be an American, I think there needs to be a plan in place. There needs to be an American plan in place that encourages that. However, the Obama doctrine, Obama, Biden, Brennan, Mayorkas, there's 1,000 people on this list. It's not just one or two people. But the Obama doctrine has been to flood every sovereign nation in the world with non-residents, to permanently change the voting bloc, to permanently change the political structure, to permanently change who's punished and who gets to get some benefits from the theft. That's been happening for a long time. So the deportations are ramping up, and everyone's talking about these court systems are currently designed in a way that we can't undo what Biden did. Because that's what Biden did is the exact opposite of what I described, having a solid, reasonable immigration system where zero violent people are being allowed in here to try to sneak in and be a snake in the grass waiting for the next opportunity to pounce. No thanks. There was sentencing yesterday in another awful case. It's like every week there's another terrible case we're talking about. Things that should have never happened. So we're going to discuss what's going on, because at the same time we need to speed up, and we are going warp speed on immigration. There are legitimate civil rights conversations that are popping up. You're going to be deported because you were on a college campus and you were speaking out against the Hamas war. Well, I guess you weren't, but that's the question. At what point is having a conversation about defending the terrorists, backing the terrorists, supporting the terrorists, defending them and rallying for them? And you know what? I am one of them. Where is the line on these college campuses, on these protests? Full regalia, Palestinian flags from the river to the sea. An intifada will shake you off like a flea into the ocean. We will not stop until every last person in that area is eliminated. It's that mentality that causes attack after attack after attack after attack, decade after decade after decade after decade against Israel. Created in 1947. It has not been a smooth sailing ship ever since, has it? There are concerns that the Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein influence, honeypot, spiderweb of political influence, power, bribery, threats, blackmail, and worse, elimination of people. I mean, Thomas Massie, there's concern. Thomas Massie said every person in Congress has an AIPAC handler. And that's an issue that some people say you're not supposed to talk about. I would be concerned if every Congress person had a Swedish handler. I don't care where it's coming from. I care that maybe too much influence from foreign powers are corrupting the process of these people in Congress and the president, who's supposed to be working for the United States of America. You shouldn't be excited to work for a specific foreign country any more than you're supposed to be excited for working for a globalist agenda, a new world order, if you will. Eventually, one supreme leader rules everybody. Everything's homogenous, as Obama has very obviously wanted. All cultures blended together, all things blended together. So there's no identity strong enough to take on a global state. And it's through the strength of individual nations that you can push back, because then you would have no representation at all. And that's antithetical to the founding documents of the United States. But President Trump has been accused with this what's that guy call him? Kilberto, Kilmar. There's a couple of cases of deportations and El Salvador. And now you have the libertarians shrieking that Trump is literally turning into all the things that we laughed at the left for whining about, crying about, worrying about. So where is the line? Where is the line on how you can speak out on a college campus versus, oh, now you're deported. Oh, you criticized Israel, you're deported. What that is that our 51st state? Is that an American state? Oh, but there's no ally stronger than Israel. Why is that? Talk to me like I'm 5 years old. Explain that to me again. Because I'm trying to understand. The deportations for being anti-war. Well, anti-war sounds kind of good. Remember in Vietnam and Woodstock being anti-Vietnam War? That's how they did things. Are you anti-American because you're trying to stop colonizing these random nations like Vietnam? And where were we at in the 50s, 60s, 70s? Korea. Take your pick. Should you be allowed to be anti-war? Well, you can be anti-war as long as it's not anti-Israel. What? Why are we acting that way? Why is that a concern? Anti-war. What if you're anti-war against Ukraine, the Obama, Victoria Nuland, Biden war? Clinton carried the Ukrainian war. If you're anti-war, you're pro-Putin, which makes you a Nazi. Like, wait, not a Nazi, because the Azov battalion of Nazis are Ukrainian. Guys, I'm having a hard time trying to unwind and unravel all of the competing ideologies here. I think it's very disingenuous for a lot of these college protesters and leftist protesters to claim, no, we just want an end to the Hamas war. The Hamas war that was started when Hamas attacked a bunch of people at a music concert in Israel. Wouldn't you be pissed if that was your country and you got slaughtered at a music festival? Well, you should be outraged at Israel's response to go after their enemies and remove them once and for all because they're tired of being attacked. No, I can actually understand getting sick of rocket attacks. I could understand getting sick of that. Yeah, but the way they're doing it. What way are they doing it? Well, it's just like they're blowing everything up. You mean like in a war? Which is why you probably shouldn't start a war? Okay. I'm having a hard time understanding the logic in all of these realms. Talk to me like I'm 5 years old. That's why you don't start a war with somebody bigger than you. With somebody with more resolve and somebody who's frankly sick of the shit. Isn't that almost exactly verbatim what President Trump said about Zelensky? You don't pick a war with somebody 20 times bigger than you and then hope that someone will give you missiles. Trump is So done with Zelensky, I can't even put it into words. But it's disingenuous to be like, no, I'm just a peaceful protester. Because you know damn well in your heart you want to eliminate every Jew from the world. Some of you protesters, no, I'm just anti-war. Bullshit. No, I just want to, I think their response has been not measured enough. It's been using a chainsaw instead of a scalpel. No, you go after a couple of terrorists. Bullshit. I think you want to drop a nuke and erase them off the face of the map. And by the way, there's a lot of that energy going around lately. There's a lot of people saying, wow, that group over there in Israel, they sure have been behind a lot of problems, haven't they? And that energy has risen in a way that I have maybe never seen before. Some people have said that because of the Holocaust invisibility cloak, the shield that's used to protect Israel, Zionists, Jews, the American tendency to always back Israel. Because of Israel's response through Netanyahu, who some people call Satanyahu, has been so total, extra aggressive. Looks like I'm paused on Rumble here. Let me make sure this is still playing. Some people have said, well, guess what? You went absolutely hog wild on Palestine. Well, you just played your Holocaust card. Nobody's going to be feeling sorry for you ever again. No more, oh, woe is me. Well, woe is the people you just blew up too. So I guess you're even. There's a lot of that energy going around. What I am is, let me distill the point of this intro. What I am is pro-American. And I do want due process for people if they're, air quote, mistakenly shipped out of here. A chance to prove their citizenship. Okay. What do we have to do? Are there two cases we're talking about? In Bukele's prison in El Salvador? All right, what do we need to do to double check this? I am literally hearing two different versions of the same exact story at the same exact time. Bondi, Rubio, Vance, Trump, Stephen Miller, they're all saying it. We won the Supreme Court case 9-0. We have all the jurisdiction that we need. We've done everything. It's under our jurisdiction to handle immigration. This guy was illegally in our country. He's an MS-13 gang member. He's therefore a foreign terrorist. Of course we can send him out. At the same time, I'm hearing from the other side, he was in America legally. He had a 5-year-old kid and he committed no crimes since he was here. Legally, air quote, does that mean he went through a port of entry or he snuck in and he maybe has some temporary non-deportation order? I don't know. Oh, it's a Maryland man. No. The other side says, no, it is an El Salvadorian citizen. And one side says, no, you can't deport him back there. It's too dangerous. And you go, not anymore now that Bukele put all the terrorists in prison. You say, well, he's an MS-13 gang member. And you go, well, based on what? Pam Bondi says, well, there were two separate court cases. Two separate cases prove that this guy was a MS-13 illegal alien gang member. The other side says, no, there was an informant criminal who said this guy was in an MS-13 gang that was not where his region was. So how would you even join a chapter that you've never been to? He was accused of something, and that court case never went to trial. That's not evidence to deport somebody. And the other part is, well, if you have your documents, show them. What are we talking about? Look it up in the system. He's an El Salvadorian resident. I mean, whether it's Gaza, Palestine, Israel, we are hearing two exact opposite stories at the same time. The Hamas war started, and Israel, the Jews, they are victims of the attack from Palestine. The other side saying the Jews are behind everything. They are the problem always. Who do you want to believe? And there's 1,000 different variations. Well, I'm not really saying that, but I am saying you have to pay. And they parse it out, and there's different layers, stacks of papers, but it's one side or the other. Victim, bad guy. Ukraine. Ukraine either started the war in Ukraine with Russia, someone 20 times their size, bigger than that, but let Trump say what he said. He's proven the point. He's at least making the point. Ukraine, Zelensky, who was part of the process when the deep state overthrew Ukraine in 2014 to install their puppet comedian politician, to start putting all of the weaponized materials closer and closer and closer to the Russian border, trying to get into NATO. NATO, an organization that sort of only exists to mess with Russia. And Russia's like, guys, we're kind of getting tired of being attacked here. It's been 30 years since Gorbachev to tear down this wall thing. It's been a long time. So either Victoria Nuland in the deep state, Obama, Biden, Burisma, that whole deep state ilk with Zelensky are responsible for starting this war, or it's Russia. Russia started this war, and Russia are the bad guys. And by the way, says the deep state, President Trump is a Russian asset. There was a Steele dossier that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the deep state paid for to kind of put a fake story out there so that we could attack Trump as a traitor, because we know we're actually the traitors, but we have to always accuse the people. We have to accuse other people of doing the exact same thing that we're doing. So he's a Putin puppet. There's a P-tape. There's a Steele dossier. We'll pay for all this stuff, and we'll frame him. It's called a coup. Of course, we run coups all over the place. The American deep state, Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex, but we're going to do it here now because Obama is what am I trying to say? Unbeatable, inevitable, unbeatable, undefeatable. I think I'm trying to say invincible and undefeatable, and these two words are just they've shaken hands in my head, and I'm like, unbeatable, invincible, invincible, invincible. Anyway, they weaponized our government against we the people to keep MAGA out of office, to keep the deep state in charge, the deep state that ran over you during COVID, the deep state that funded COVID. So who are the bad guys? Ukraine, Putin puppet. Oh, Trump's a Putin puppet. Russia. Okay. So from the same deep state that was trying to pin every ill of the world on Russia because they knew that he was in the 20-year plan, going after Putin was in the 20-year plan of the deep state. Well, we'll just accuse our enemy of the people that we're going after next. Perfect. We're brilliant. Oh my gosh, look at that. 2 birds, 1 stone. We're so smart. But their hubris, their cockiness made them think that they could get away with anything. Invincible, undefeatable. So they've left a paper trail a mile long on this. Once again, let me get back to this. Let me summarize this whole conversation. If any one particular clip is going to be chopped up and say, oh, look what he said. No. Go back to this marker 2429 of this live broadcast. Let me say this. I am for the freedom of speech. I think we should be able to speak on campuses. When we align ourselves a little too closely with terrorists, it gets a little dicey. Also, it kind of depends on who's defining terrorist. Biden said white supremacists were the biggest threat in America. No proof of that. BLM And Obama raged. Biden too, Harris. Oh, the cops are so this and that. Oh, look at the stats. It's so racist. It's so unfair. Kaepernick said that. None of the stats bore that out. Misrepresented. We're at a critical juncture figuring out where free speech and terrorism begin. I've interviewed a lot of people. I was at the DC Gulag interviewing the people that got out. Members of Oath Keepers who I've interviewed multiple times. Stuart Rhodes, go back and look. I can understand and empathize with the mission statement of remembering and reinforcing that you take an oath of office. You're an oath keeper to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You don't blindly take orders from people. And there are people accusing Trump of saying, look, man, whatever you're doing with this deportation, you're missing the mark on a couple of these. You got to get this sorted out. We are not backing down. We are not moving away. I would like to double down and double address that. Whatever the opposing case is, let's do this in public and hear both sides. But when we do that, we have judges blocking what the president can do, what the president can accomplish. Judges all across our country engaging in the same type of lawfare that tried to throw President Trump in jail because they knew they couldn't beat him. It's why they went after him in Butler, because they knew they couldn't beat him. It's because they knew that they didn't. It might be because they knew that they didn't beat him in 2020. Because he was so strong in 2016, he was able to leapfrog all of your dirty tricks. And it was only through COVID, that may or may not have been intentionally released, that was able to happen. By the way, go get your countervailing views on health and elections at cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control, because they consider themselves to be the arbiters of truth. I keep trying to make this point, but I'll try to make it right now. 27 minutes, 27 seconds. I'm pro-American. I am pro-civil liberties. So if there's a couple of people that are getting mixed up in this deportation thing, can we just do a double check? What does it take to do a double check? Was he illegally in the country? Was he illegally or legally in the country? El Salvadorian citizen, American citizen. MS-13 gang member, not MS-13 gang member. Can we just double check and verify what we think are the core components of this case? I'm just trying to find out what's really going on. Same with the stabbing, that Carmelo Anthony guy. And what a shame that Carmelo Anthony, right at the time he's going into the Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, this guy at the track meet stabs a twin right in the heart. Oh, really now? Who throws a shoe? Who brings a knife to a track meet? I'm just trying to get to the core components of what's going on. Who was the aggressor? You're hearing self-defense claims, and they've raised $500,000 and maybe purchased a home. Who's giving this killer $1 million? Because why? Because you think this is your Rittenhouse? A case where a white guy was attacked by 3 white guys that has nothing to do with race other than self-defense or not self-defense? There's never been a more clear-cut case than Kyle Rittenhouse, by the way, if you watch the videos. Oh, no, it's our Trayvon Martin. See, we get to kill Whitey now. Isn't that what they're saying in South Africa? Isn't that what's being said as this invasion sweeps across Europe? Do we have the details of the case right? What are the core details? No, self-defense doesn't mean you get to leave an area after you were bullied by a mean guy and stab him in the heart. That's not self-defense. That's premeditation. That is goodbye. See you forever. You don't get to do that. Were 2 twins on top of you in a ground and pound maneuver like Trayvon was, smashing George Zimmerman's skull into the concrete when he pulled out his self-defense tool and took 1 shot to stop that? That's very different. Let's get the details of the case. So I think we need to, it's weird. It's Schrodinger's scenario. We have to speed up and slow down at the same time. I don't know how we do it because the sheer volume of what was dumped into America by Biden, Obama, Mayorkas, Garland, it's unsustainable. It's untenable. We lose our nation if we allow it. It has to be undone. But you don't want innocent people getting wrapped up in the mix. You got to crack a couple eggs to make an omelet. But some of the libertarians are going to say, no, you shouldn't do anything if a single person could end up wrapped up in it. So what, you don't do anything and the other side wins? You can't stop their treasonous activity because, well, they got away with too much of it. And it's just too complicated. And you can't guarantee a 100% success rate. You get into Major League Baseball if you can hit 3 out of 10 pitches safely for a hit. A 300 batting average is tough to get in Major League Baseball. But no, libertarians demand constant perfection. Guys, you got to chill the fuck out. I went to your convention. You guys are just constant complainers. You got to chill out a little bit. And I appreciate if there's one innocent person that's getting wrapped up in this, we need to defend them. We need to work on that. We need to reverse that. Flip it and reverse it. I do get that. And your contributions to society are vital. But just like the people saying, oh, the retaliation, it's too much in Palestine. It's too much. Well, that's the response for what the other side did, which is maybe why you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Why don't you blame the people like Joe Biden, Mayorkas, Garland, Obama, the Obama doctrine? Why don't you blame them for these 2 cases in El Salvador that may or may not have a gang member, may or may not have a U.S. citizen who's El Salvadorian? I believe that's not disputed, who may or may not have committed new crimes. Well, except for the crime of coming into the country illegally, which is a deportable crime, so see ya. But no, that's not. No, for this purpose, you shouldn't have done that. Now it's getting very subjective, libertarians. Well, no, some crimes are fine, but then the other crimes, no, well, no, being accused of that crime is terrible. No, but he was in the country illegally. Well, that crime's okay. I'm not talking about that crime. I'm talking about this thing Trump did. He's so mean. I'm having a hard time blending where this balance goes. In fact, that's the argument against the death penalty, isn't it? If a single innocent person is put to death, you can't use the death penalty. Let's ignore the 999 literal demons that could be erased. Nope. A single good person could get wrapped up in that. I get it. I empathize with it. I am pro death penalty. I understand it. Nobody wants a single bad thing to happen. But show me where 100% of anything happens. Well, I certainly don't want to miss the fairway in the Masters tournament last weekend. Oh, I sure hope I'm 100% in the fairway. I sure hope I only 2-putt, a maximum of 2-putt the whole tournament. Cool, I'm glad you feel that way. But what are the odds of 100% of anything ever happening? Minimal, minuscule. David, welcome, sir. By the way, everybody out there who's watching, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Rumble has been freezing lately. That's been frustrating for me. And then we had one of our highest rated shows on YouTube in a while after we've been complaining to them about our erroneous strike for misinformation. And they won't define what it was. They won't tell you what it was. They just give you a blanket determination. But yes, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. Send us a rant on Rumble. I don't think we've had a rant yet, but it's like you pay $1 and then you send us a rant and then it sticks on the conversation screen for 2 minutes. It's a fun way to toss a penny in the wishing well. Yes, countervailing views on health and elections. That is scrolling at the bottom there. CDC.gov, WHO.int, and CISA.gov/rumor control. Our donation links are here. Patreon, we're at the New American Media. Venmo at Brian Engelman. Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. And follow the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_media_. And subscribe to our podcast at the Agree to Disagree Show on Apple. Yeah, you did mention that before, David, that Rumble does seem to have a lot of disturbances. Right. Right. Well, that being said, it is pretty much one of the only viable alternatives to YouTube. And so I'm going to continue to try working with them. It's been bad the past couple of days, though. There's a couple of shows that I listen to, and they stop playing. I don't know why. Random intervals. I don't think they're at commercial breaks. It just stops playing. Nothing happens. I undo my Wi-Fi. I hit reset. Nothing happens. I try again. Nothing happens. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. They're definitely the victim of cyber attacks. It's Bongino and Scott Adams and Steven Crowder and a whole bunch of people over there at Rumble that are giving us an alternative to the tyranny of YouTube, Google. They're trying to have a full spectrum dominance over logic and information. So yeah, it's what I encourage everyone to do. At least sign up for an account. At least put the app on the phone. At least subscribe to the New American Media. If we disappear from YouTube, I want you to be connected with us so that you can find us when that happens. I'm not going to say if. Like, they are actively attacking us right now. We've got to be the most attacked. I don't know. Regardless. No, I know you would rather watch Rumble, but it's a pain to watch things. Yeah, but look, new monthly users, more investments, more growth. The more that we use it. Oh, it's based in Toronto. I don't think I knew that. The more that we use it, the more that the analytics pile up, and the more that investors can see that it's a viable platform and alternative, so that you'll get more advertising dollars, which gives them more infrastructure. Once again, I don't work for Rumble. They're not a sponsor of mine. Yet I would take advertising dollars from Rumble. I appreciate having an alternative. Yeah, it has been a little wonky for me. I've been getting very frustrated with a couple of shows that I've tried listening to several times. It gets old. All right. For the final time, at 38 minutes, 15 seconds, let me summarize. I'm pro-American and the ideals that we're supposed to stand for: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of self-defense, freedom from an overarching, domineering federal government tyranny. I get that there are fringe cases. Should you be allowed to protest actors involved in a war, be them individuals, be them countries, be them city-states, be them territories? We have to have that conversation. When do you become a Hamas terrorist versus a sympathizer versus an American who has the right to freedom of speech and engaging in civil, mostly civil discourse? I think if you're calling for the complete extermination of another group of people from the river to the sea, shake them out of this Arab land like a flea off of a dog. Okay, I mean, that's sounding very Hitlerian to me. And I'm not entirely certain where you draw that line. But don't try to whiz on my leg and tell me it's raining. We know what you're saying. We know what you're saying. You sound like Hitler. And we hear the people that are blaming the Jews for everything wrong under the sun. Are they responsible for everything wrong under the sun? What do you call them? Israel, the Jews, the Bolsheviks, the Khazarian mafia. Oh, there's the New World Order, the Illuminati, the deep state. There's 1,000 ways to describe various groups of people and individuals that on the Venn diagram overlap in some ways, don't touch at all in other ways. They completely overlap each other in some ways. There's a lot of speaking, but not really saying what you mean, but kind of saying what you mean, and kind of being honest, but kind of being, I'm not saying, I'm just asking. And the question is, what happens if that's turned on you? Like Obama, but it's like, could you imagine if that would happen to you? Yeah, motherfucker, I've been alive under 20 years of Obama Biden. Oh, you think? You think social media has taken away my ability to earn a living through advertising revenue? Have your career ruined? Oh, tell me more. I've never considered that the potentiality could possibly exist where I could be targeted by bad guys for the crime of being a good guy, the crime of being a patriot. Tell me more. I've never considered. What if the shoe's on the other foot, the libertarians say? Yeah, you're cheering Trump now, but what if the next time it's a Democrat doing it and they go after you? Yeah, that's what the past 20 years has been in a nutshell. 24 years, go back to 9/11. Oh, now it gets even more complicated. Now it gets even more complicated with the caliphate and Islam, radical Islam. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? You can't pin the tail on the Jew with that one. Wait, you can though. There's the dancing Israelis, right? No matter where you look, you're going to find people saying all sorts of versions of these comments. Are you going to have the hubris of claiming to be the know-it-all in the room? The one who is Google? We know truth and you spoke misinformation. Slap on the wrist. You may not advertise on our platform anymore. You know what? You may not earn a living doing what you do anymore. 3 strikes, you're out, sir. Oh, could I ever imagine the tyranny of a government that's aimed against us? Yeah, I've been living it. So pushing back against this, it might crack a couple of eggs. A couple of incidents may occur where the wrong thing is happening. And I am fully in favor of doubling down, peeling back, and let's say just who, what, where, when, why, how. Can we go through the top 20 accusations here and just figure out what the facts are? I am in favor of that. Let me say that crystal clear. I am not pro-Hamas, anti-Hamas. It's hard not to be. I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not pro-Ukraine. I'm not anti-Ukraine. I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not anti-Russia. I'm pro-me. I'm pro-America. And I'm pro the founding documents that are supposed to allow us some sorts of freedoms here. But it starts and stops with you don't have the freedom to break into our back door and hang out in our house for a second longer once you've been identified. Get out right now. Okay, President Trump has told all the illegal aliens to go out. They have not left. Okay, we're coming in. It's our house. And it's a very, very, very fine house. And I'd like to keep it that way. I am sick and damn tired of turning on the news, flipping through my phone, and finding an illegal alien invader brought here through the Obama doctrine with Biden and Harris, who has murdered, abused, violated an American citizen. A single case of this sickens me to the core. Anybody who wants to come in on a level to work and stay out of trouble, you need a full criminal background check. And a lot of these people were very well known to be criminals. So I am very pro making sure that we filter our water before we drink it. That's common sense. There's no hatred there. There is no hatred. That is love. Love of our people in this country legally. Yeah, I'm pro not having this world destroyed. Thank you. So in a nutshell, please, Let's find a way to double check some of these cases that are being misreported nonstop. I just can't quite determine which side is misreporting. And if there's been a misinterpretation, let's take a step back and be willing to say, all right, hold on. Maybe it was mischaracterized in a couple of ways. Let's reevaluate this. Like, we have to be able to do that. Then again, FAFO, don't come in here and don't be an asshole. You're a guest in our home. I'm not going to have it. I am not going to tolerate. I had a guest at my home. Well, I met somebody and they were over. And actually, this has happened more than once. Look, you can't live in this world without encountering situations where this will happen. Shit, I threw parties in college and I would invite people over, and there would be some people that would come over and be disrespectful. And you know what? Toodaloo. You can go. Buddy. Nimbus wanted to say hello for this segment. Hi, everybody. Mr. Nimbus. I don't like him walking over there. As a guest in somebody's home, there's things you shouldn't be doing. And some of these protesters, you know, it's thinly veiled racist hate. It's thinly veiled pro-terrorist activity. I know. It just depends who labels you a terrorist. Remember when Obama and Biden labeled the J6ers terrorists because they were the patriots going, you stole the election, whether you agree with it or not. You know, you become a terrorist or you become a patriot. CISA.gov/rumor control, scrolling at the bottom of your screen. They'll tell you 2020 was free and fair election. The only one in the history of elections, mind you. I added that. Are you a patriot? Are you a terrorist? And can you be deported because of it? I saw a post right before I went live, and it just had me thinking in this realm. Look, I can address some of these libertarian points. I can empathize with some of them. I mean, I think we have to be willing to scrutinize our own team while trying to rescue our nation from the team trying to destroy us. Are you allowed to get 97 wins if you get 3 losses? Nope, you must be perfect or you can't do anything. You will lose and your country will be destroyed if you can't be perfect. All right, buddy, we're not doing this. Come on. I move him every day, people. He knows it. And he does something and he starts pulling at something he's not supposed to be doing. Anyway, that post had me thinking today. I love Nimbus, but when he walks up here and starts pressing the keyboard and changing the screens and changing the channels, that's why I have 3 spaces right here for him to hang out. I could literally reach out and give him a hey, buddy. If he wants to come up here and start pulling at things and messing up things and stepping on the keyboard. Anyway. David, I'm pro not having the world destroyed. Let's go through the news, shall we? Daily Mail here reporting Sanctuary City scandal. The migrant who set fire to the woman as she slept on New York City subway has avoided deportation. That just doesn't even seem real. Atlas Society reporting, Daily Mail. I wish there was more explanation in the comments, but there's not. That doesn't even seem real to me. President Trump here talking about how much the American family is being robbed by the deep state.
Oh, you mean loser pays? I love that. Well, if you did loser pays.
Loser pays, talking about all these frivolous lawsuits and just the act of being sued, it depletes your money. That's why the deep state has used that technique, because they financially ruin you. Chuck Schumer says 6 ways from Sunday of the deep state coming after you. You better play nice with them because they're They're the mobsters in charge. They're the real terrorists. They're the bosses. You must bow down to them and sell your country out like a good little boy. The reason Trump was able to avoid it is because he has FU money.
You could cut your courts in you could cut them down about 90%. Loser pays. You know what would also benefit? Medical. If you had loser pays for medical, your medical costs would go down by 50%. But you know the only...
What do you mean loser pays medical?
Problem, the strongest lobby in the world. You know what it is? The lawyer lobby. No, loser pay is, very good.
Yeah, the lawyer lobby. How many times have they taken a bad situation of a divorce, for example, and instead of finding an amicable solution, they keep the sides fighting for as long as possible so they can keep billing and keep bilking. Well, I'll take 10% of the estate. I'll take 15% of the estate. I'll take 20% of the estate, 25% of the estate, 30% of the estate, 35, 30, 40, 45, 50. It's like someone's running across a football field. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60% of the estate. We'll drag this out in court forever, see? Thieves, scoundrels. Have you ever been close to a divorce? Some of them go very smooth. Some of them get lawyers involved. Holy shit. You want to just take half of what you have and flush it down the toilet? Get some lawyers involved. Or you could just be reasonable and figure out something that works for you and move along. Trump knows this as well as anybody on earth.
Europe, they use it in certain parts of Europe, and they have very little litigation.
Did you guys
Very little litigation. This is Informed with Anthony. Go ahead and, what's he going to say?
know about this? This is kind of new, but I guess it kind of should make sense. And I'm kind of glad it's being talked about because I didn't know that when a company is essentially sued, a lot of the time, maybe most of the time, maybe all the time, that cost gets inferred to us, the customers, the people that are using the service or buying the goods and services.
I will say yes, I did know that. He's saying $4,200 extra each year. Each American families are paying hidden costs because lawsuit abuse raises the cost of insurance, raises the cost of everything. You're paying more at Target because thieves are going in there and robbing from them. You're paying more at Kroger because thieves are going in there and robbing them. You're paying more at Trader Joe's. You're paying more at McDonald's. I don't know how much you can steal from McDonald's, honestly. But retail stores, you're paying more at Home Depot. You're paying more everywhere because people are abusing the system, and the companies have to factor that in. So yeah, it is important. Here's a question. We'll let this guy, Lib Snowflakes, Lance Videos. He asks a question here. So let me ask the crew out there in TNAM AM universe, the TNAM AM show. Let me ask you how you feel about this video. Do you agree or disagree with the interviewer?
Someone who makes $140,000 shouldn't pay taxes?
I'm saying that taxes are gay.
That's a weird thing to say.
Oh, wow. What are you like?
Taxes are gay.
What are you, a 15-year-old boy?
Dude.
How's your League of Legends account going?
I'm like top tier right now.
Oh, wow, I can tell. That's probably all you do all the time.
Taxes are gay.
Wrong side of the road to be talking to people.
What's wrong with saying that? Can we not agree? Can we not agree that taxes are gay?
There you go. So do you agree or disagree that taxes are gay? I've never heard the comments. Taxes are super fucking gay button. Taxes are so gay. $140,000 a year seems like a bajillion dollars to these unemployed activists. So now liberals want taxes. LOL, they're so brainwashed. Taxes are gayer than two guys blowing each other. Anyway, just read the comments. It's on our Instagram feed. And do you agree or disagree with that statement? It was so interesting because, like, two thoughts collided for the protesters to watch them implode, trying to process that phrase, trying to process the statement, the question. We still don't have an answer to what this is. I don't think to my satisfaction. The motive for the shooting is officially undetermined. But once again, this is the moment that the gunshots started ringing out at the 2017 Las Vegas massacre carried out by Paddock from the hotel. If you haven't seen this, this may have been out for a long time, but I'm only seeing it today. You should always have a plan in place if you're somewhere in public, how you're going to get out of there, where you're going to meet up. And if you can't meet up at that point, let's meet up at a secondary location. Just a couple of basic planning components can save your life. I just take it so damn personal when people attack live events. I've been a promoter. Hi, Brandon. How are you, sir? I've been a musician. I've been a talent buyer. I've been an agent. I've been a promoter, a live event producer. It's like that scene in Pulp Fiction. There's nothing more chicken shit than keying a man's car. It almost would have been worth them doing it just to catch them doing it. So yeah, I get a little salty that Hamas started a war and they're like, oh, I can't believe you're hitting back. Yeah, you butchered people at a concert, you assholes. I can't believe you're so pro-Zionist. I'm pro not getting attacked, you dicks. I'm not pro or anti either of you. Like you're not on my team. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Like that's my team. I only represent me. I'm you two fighting nonstop. That's not my concern in the same way. But I kind of saw two sides getting along, and I saw you start some shit, and now you're mad. Oh, help, he's hitting me. Why is he hitting you? Actually, that is the case of Carmelo Anthony. Was it self-defense? Or was it a crazy murderer? We're going to have to unpack it. And I don't have all the details. Anyway, anytime you're out at a large event, make sure you have multiple gathering points. Like when you park and go, hey, take a picture of this intersection. Or this is the section we're parked, A17. We'll meet here if we can. But when you get close to the venue, you go, hey, we're at this corner of 3rd and Elm. Okay? Take a picture. We'll meet up here. And if we can't meet here, we'll meet back at the car. All right. And when you get inside, you go, where are the exits? That's why it's kind of a good idea to be near an emergency exit when you're in the midst of 100,000 people. I've been to Woodstock. I've been to large concerts and festivals. So anyway, I see this story and I want you just to think about that when you're out. Cleveland Browns must be hard to watch. Man, brother, you don't even know. You don't even know. David. And it's not just that we've had a rough go of things. By the way, I am the host of the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. If anyone wants some coasters, shoot me a Venmo at Brian Engelman along with your address. $30 for a set of 4 wooden Ohio-made coasters. $25 for the pin. $50 for both sets, or $75 for all 3, shipping included. But yeah, I do a sports show, and it's not just that the Browns have been bad. It's that our team was stolen in 95, 96. It's that the team that got to steal us, Baltimore, they've won 2 Super Bowls since then. We've never even been to one in our team's history. NFL championships, yes. And we were actually just awarded a few 1940s AAFC championships in the NFL. So now when you look at the teams who have the most NFL championships, Cleveland's right around the top 5. But none in the modern Super Bowl era. So the Browns were stolen from Cleveland, went to Baltimore. Damn Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls. That could have been us. With Ozzie Newsome as their director of player personnel in the front office, making draft picks, picking Pro Bowl caliber people. The Ozzie Newsome, the Hall of Famer from Cleveland Browns. You know who was on the Browns roster when they were stolen? Or who the coaching staff? What was it, Kirk Ferentz? head coach, where was he? Iowa. Nick Saban from Alabama. Bill Belichick from the Patriots. These were our coaches under our umbrella, under our organizational roof when our team was stolen. We were set up to be the dominant team. We were set up to be the Patriots and the Ravens. Instead, we got nothing. No football for a couple of years, then a shitty expansion team. A couple of quick exits from the playoffs in the past 30 years, 25 years. Oh, it's been hard. Not just that our team was taken, but it's like we were supposed to be the 2 decades of dominance that you saw from the Ravens and the Patriots. Ugh. Really hard to watch. David's a Bills fan since 89. Yeah, 89. Was that the year the Browns were in the AFC Championship game? But yeah, I like Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and those guys. They were all rookies in 89. Thurman Thomas was. Anyway, I digress. Here's this video from the attack. They're just playing at a concert, and then all of a sudden... I've never seen this. And they're saying that was not an AR with a bump stock button. That ain't no bump stock, bruh. That 100% was not Paddock from the hotel. Are we still ignoring the fact that was about 3 to 4 different guns at different distances? Can't wait 50 years. Can't wait for the CIA to declassify this in 50 years. Yeah, you could blatantly hear multiple guns firing at the same time. They said it was a failed hit on the Saudi prince, and it was a hit squad that was firing multiple automatic weapons. Former Marine saying those were 240 Bravo machine guns. Not only that, when his brother spoke up. Anyway, a lot of comments on that. Yeah, Vegas, that was insane. So I would love to get to the bottom of that story. 2017. There may be some of what sound like multiple weapons. I'll admit that could be reverberations and echoes. But I'd like to dig into that report one more time and take a look. Let's just review, just like I want to with this Kilberto guy. The 2 people in El Salvador that might not supposed to be there. Let's pull them. Let's pull the situation out and look at the top 10 facts. Pull them into isolation. Make sure they can't get harmed. You know, like the prison should be prison, but it shouldn't be a torture center as well. And I know Bukele, like that place is not a wonderful place, much like Guantanamo. But I don't think they should be 5-star hotels either. Yeah, just let's re-review the who, what, where, when, why. Let's look at the data and see, are we all in agreement on the official story or are we not? We covered the 9/11 revisitation. Tucker Carlson had the guest on yesterday, and they revisited that whole situation. Oh, you think Q came right after that incident? Oh. I'd be curious. I don't even know when that started. It just kind of was around, and I don't remember like it launching. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, how long has that Q thing been around? 2017, that's the first year of the first Trump term. Media Research Center is putting this out. Here's a tale of 2 different illegal immigrant cases. They call this El Salvadorian citizen a Maryland man, and they say he's wrongly deported. On ABC, CBS, and NBC, he received 64 minutes and 57 seconds of coverage. Then you have a deported illegal alien with ties to Then you have the killing of a Maryland mother of 5. Rachel Morin was killed and abused, raped by an illegal alien. 0 minutes of coverage. Woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Oh my gosh, this Maryland man, who's El Salvadorian man, can you believe he was deported? Meanwhile, they'll look at Rachel Morin, the victim of an illegal alien invader who brutalized her and took her away from her 5 kids. 0 minutes of coverage. You do not hate ABC, CBS, and NBC enough. So while I am very interested in hearing the libertarian concerns about a single person who may or may not have been wrapped up in a deportation fraudulently, or maybe lacking context, or maybe it quite hasn't been proven he's likely this way, but not entirely proven, or whatever the case is, I get it. But are you telling me that's 64 times more important than a mother of 5 who was abused by an illegal alien who snuck into our country? In order to get these people out, you're going to have some of these cases on the right, but you're not going to value the reason why the deportations need to happen if you're going to ignore the killer, the deceased mother of 5. And how are you even going to know about the story? Because 0 minutes were dedicated to it. So you're sort of regurgitating the things within your inner circle. So look, I'll consider your perspective a little bit, but you need to consider my perspective a little bit. I don't want innocent people to end up wrapped up in things, but I'm not certain this guy's innocent. You're not certain he's guilty? Okay. Well, I am certain that this mother, whoop, am I pointing the wrong way? That this mother should not have been brutalized. And it's because illegal aliens were dumped here without vetting that it happened. So, you know, maybe put some of the blame on Obama Biden for doing this. Mayorkas, Garland. Well, how dare you clean up that mess? You should have cleaned it a different manner. All right. Please show me how we can implement a perfect system. And I'm okay with the perfect system, but you got to help organize it, because there is no such thing. This was the 9/11 conversation I was referring to you. This is the conversation with Tucker Carlson about 9/11 that I referenced just a bit earlier.
That the FBI had raided your daughter's house.
Kurt Weldon.
And I thought, man, I was like Kurt Weldon. I guess he's corrupt. And then I never heard anything about it. And then you lost that election to a guy who I always thought was kind of repulsive. And then probably 15 years passed. And I thought to myself, wait a second, Kurt Weldon was the only Republican I'm aware of who criticized the U.S. response, the intel agency's response to 9/11, who wrote a book blaming elements of the U.S. government for allowing 9/11 to happen and then covering it up. And then right on the cusp of becoming chairman of the Armed Services Committee, the FBI raids your daughter's house and you lose an election in which your opponent has funding from all over the United States. No one's ever heard of this guy. All of a sudden, he's got more money and you're out of Congress. But what was the pretext for raiding your daughter's house?
There was none. They never talked to her.
So what was she charged with? What did she go
They never charged her. They never charged her with anything. They never talked to her. There was no charge.
So the FBI just shows up,
raids, takes boxes out, and then gives her the boxes back unopened, still taped. Nothing.
Nothing. When did they give the boxes back?
That was months later.
After you'd lost.
And by the way, doesn't that sound like Gestapo tactics that the Trump administration could use on illegal aliens? You don't want to be the shoe on the other foot. Yeah, conservatives, libertarians have been attacked like that by the deep state for a long time. I'm not saying it's okay to do intentionally, but it's just like, could you imagine if this would happen to you? Yeah. Yeah, we see it every day. At least this administration's fighting back against the deep state. I don't know. I haven't watched that whole interview with Tucker. I've seen some interesting clips, but it certainly seems to fit the trend. It seems to fit the pattern, the MO, the modus operandi. Chuck Schumer. Joey Mugniat. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He says, this is Axel Rudukambana. He stabbed and ended BB King, 6 years old, Elsie Stancombe, 7, Alice De Silver Aguiar, 9 years old, at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in England. He tried to stab 10 other kids there, too. And he once tried to make the deadly poison ricin. He possessed an Al-Qaeda handbook. You probably didn't hear about him, though, because his skin looks like this, and Netflix was busy selling you the idea that white incels are the problem. This is the guy, the monster that attacked all these little kids, Axel such and such. But Netflix put a story like this together. A couple weeks ago, we covered it. And they changed it. They said there was a white incel who went around stabbing people, ripped from the headlines, you know? Kind of like Law and Order. You rip a story from the headlines. Except they said, no, this Al-Qaeda textbook having ricin creating, allegedly, 10 stab attempting, multiple murderer. He's a black Al-Qaeda dude. But Netflix tells this story and switches it. They do the race swap thing of Disney. Like with Little Mermaid and Snow White. And then they say here that white incels, that was the stabber in the Netflix. Actually, what was the name of the Netflix movie? Netflix movie, white incel stab. Adolescence, based on a true story. Exploring male violence and incel culture in the context of an English school. Well, it kind of seems like they were talking about the UK stabbing. But you don't talk about certain stories because the media pushes specific narratives. Hey, here's another narrative. Oh, let me switch the... He does look possessed. You're right, David. End Wokeness says, Kyle Rittenhouse shot rioters to save his life. He had a $2 million bond and it was not reduced. He spent 86 days in a pre-trial detention. Carmelo Anthony, meanwhile, this killer brought a knife to a track meet inexplicably. Although I did defend that yesterday. I said, you carry knives. It's a tool. I don't care. What type of knife would probably tell me a little bit more. Carmelo got insulted, so he killed someone. They reduced his bond to $200,000 or $250,000. 12 days in a pre-trial jail, and now he bought a new house with all the donations. What is happening here? And we want to know, is it true? Was a house bought? For how much? And why was the bail reduced? This illegal alien MS-13 gang member had been convicted of raping and bludgeoning to death 37-year-old Rachel Morin, a Maryland mother of 5, in August of 2023. Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, illegal alien from El Salvador, where he's also a member of the violent MS-13 gang, was found guilty this week by a Maryland jury of first-degree murder, first-degree rape, third-degree sexual offense, and kidnapping. Martinez Hernandez now faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. During the trial, he refused to testify. The jury deliberated for an hour. Why isn't this story in the news as much as the track person or Rittenhouse? A monster comes in and kills a mother of 5. Why is this story not being reported every single day? Joey Manarino here says, if you enter America illegally, you should absolutely end up deported and possibly in prison. This isn't controversial. Louder for the people in the back button. I've never tried sneaking into another country. I've gone into another country. You kind of go into someone else's house. If they say take your shoes off at the front door, you take your shoes off at the front door. Jason Meister says, imagine a political party that defends waste, fraud, and abuse while protecting MS-13 gang members, Hamas supporters, and serial murderers. That's your modern-day Democrat Party.
Democrat and media outrage over the deportation of Abrego Garcia.
Here's Abrego Garcia. This is Caroline Levitt talking about this.
An MS-13 El Salvadorian illegal alien criminal who is hiding in Maryland has been nothing short of despicable. Based on the sensationalism of many of the people in this room, you would think we deported a candidate for Father of the Year. That's because, unfortunately, many in this country care more about this quote-unquote Maryland father, a legal alien MS-13 gang member, than a Maryland mother and an American citizen who was brutally murdered at the hands of a different illegal alien. Of course, I am referring to Rachel Morin. And if you didn't see yesterday, a Maryland jury found illegal alien Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez guilty of murdering Rachel Morin in August of 2023. She was a 37-year-old mother of 5 who was jogging in an otherwise safe community northeast of Baltimore when this monster ambushed, strangled, and beat her to death before stuffing her brutalized body in a tunnel drain. The Morin family finally got justice yesterday, but they will never get Rachel back. Our hearts go out to Rachel's family, her 5 children, and her mother, Patty, who has suffered the unimaginable loss of her daughter. The Democrat and media outrage over the deportation of Abrego Garcia.
There you go. So let's just try to balance this a little bit. Hey, speaking of balance, how about this? Elon Musk saves astronauts that were stranded in space for 9 months and the media is silent. But Katy Perry supposedly goes to space for minutes, and that's all the media can talk about. Here's a Chicago resident dropping a truth bomb when asked about the border crisis.
The more things change, the more they stay the same, unfortunately. When I first got to Congress 2 years ago, the former ranking member said at our first immigration hearing that we Republicans were imagining a border crisis. So Ms. Carter Walters, are you imagining a border crisis? How would you respond to that?
And that's why President Trump we almost had a red wave in the United States, because we're tired of the lies, the gaslighting from the Democrat Party. All while everything they're saying right now that Trump is a threat. Everything is a threat. No, they're the threat. The Biden-Harris administration allowed 20 million people to cross that border unvetted and illegally. So no, we are not imagining anything. When I go outside my house and I look from side to side and across the street and I see what I see, I'm not, and see the gangs and see everybody that's not, well, let me say this, people who I know that's not from my community and people who I know that's not from here. When I see that invasion in my community, then I'm not imagining anything. No, I'm looking at that with my own eyes.
Thank you for sharing that. The more things change, the more they stay the same, unfortunately. When I first got to Congress 2 years ago, the former ranking member.
Stop the invasion. Hey, here's your Democrat Party.
I remember pulling into the parking lot, and I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned right to go to Claymont High School. I wondered why. Asked my mom, why? So in Delaware, they're not allowed to go to school, in public school, with white kids, honey. That sparked my sense of outrage as a kid, just like it does. I mean, and these young kids right here can tell you things affect them when they learn about something that's really just unfair and unjust.
Man, he is sputtering on fumes, people. That's your Democrat Party. Enjoy. Yeah, remember, Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 dangers to society and the media wanted him dead. This guy killed an innocent football player and gets $500,000. Okay. Yeah, I want some more details on this case. Was he in the right spot or the wrong spot? It matters. So did the twins pick up his backpack and throw it? Did they push him? Did they punch him? Did they threaten him? Like, what's the story they're going to come up with? Because the way it's been reported seems pretty incredible if that guy's getting preferential treatment. But I'm open to it. We all need to be open to learning about what the case was, like George Floyd, before we burn our cities down. Because a lot of the people that were causing problems in rioting throughout America in 2020, they never watched that video. They never saw that Floyd couldn't breathe, was having a panic attack, heart attack, overdose, whatever happened to him from the minute that the police encountered him in the car to when he was arrested and taken into the back of the cop car without incident. It was all just an arrest. It was pretty straightforward, but he was freaking out and wiggled himself out onto the ground. That's when you saw like 12 or 14 Minnesota police officers say what they were trained to do, to put a knee at the neck, the shoulder, the upper back area. Some say the autopsy report didn't show any sign of strangulation or asphyxiation or a broken neck. Nothing that would have, it looked bad, but it wasn't bad. And then there's other versions of the autopsy. I think there were 2 or 3 or 4 that were done, and they were changed and kind of edited and redacted so that they could present the proper narrative. Almost like they had to make a sacrifice to get the attacks to stop. So I'm not going to have a super strong opinion of Carmelo Anthony because I don't have all the facts. I think that's a smart way to look at things. All right. It's amazing how Biden added $10 trillion to our national debt in 4 years, and libs are mad that Trump is using foreign tariffs to pay our debt instead of increasing our taxes. These people are stupid. Yeah. This is a funny one. It's the classic urinal, and then the guy walks in. Hey, man, you hate Trump too? Yeah. He doesn't just go right next to him. He goes right behind him. That's kind of goofy, but it's kind of funny. All right. We're going to go lightning round here. And no, I don't believe that Biden was president. I can't believe it. I never believed it. Didn't believe it then. Don't believe it now. CISA.gov/rumor control. Countervailing views. There you go. On health and elections. CDC.gov, WHO.int, and CISA.gov/rumor control. They think Biden was president. They want the countervailing view out there. Good on ya. All right. Pierce Morgan says this is an incredible achievement by President Trump that's not receiving anywhere close to the media attention it would get if any other president who had done it. In March of 24, 137,000 Southwest border apprehensions. And now you took 130,000 border apprehensions away. It's down to 7,181. That is a 95% decrease. Elon says, and no new laws were needed. The Biden admin actively ushered in a vast number of illegals, and it was not accidental. Here's a video that's pretty cool. Matt Van Swol reporting. The Department of Transportation has confirmed that US 81 has officially reopened months ahead of schedule after crumbling into the river during Hurricane Helene. Look at that. It's just gone. And there they are, ahead of schedule. Over 5,400 people have been driving an extra hour every day to avoid this road. Promises kept. Thank you. This is what I love about America, fixing shit when things go bonkers. I am so tired of the stupid politics. I want to see us fixing stuff. That's what I want to see. Ending wars, not starting them. You're pro-Hamas? Oh, you're anti-Zionist? You're anti-Israel? No, I'm pro-American, and I want the fighting to stop, and I want future fighting to stop. That's what I am. Don't put words in my mouth, anybody. All right. Jack Posobiec, whose show I was on when President Trump spoke in the Bronx last year. He says, what the funk? Chinese intel agency official helped raise over $300,000 for Democratic Boston Mayor Michelle Wu's campaign, reported from the Post Millennial. This Michelle Wu is a really bad politician, is my sense. MAGA Voice says, leader of Columbia University's protests was arrested at his citizenship interview. He's now getting deported out of America. This is such an epic mic drop. So some people are concerned that, hey, what if you can't, why are you cheering being deported for wrong things? That could happen to you someday. I mean, you're the guest in somebody's home. Yeah, well, why do we always have to defend Israel? I don't know, because they were just at a music concert and they just got attacked. Yeah, well, it's not because of that. It's because of what happened in 1947. It's because they've turned Gaza into an open-air prison. Ignore the fact that Egypt won't let them in their side of the gate. Yeah, it's all Israel's fault. Yeah, Israel's bad. Yeah, Israel's behind everything bad. Actually, you should erase everybody from Israel, from the river to the sea, and intifada, shake them off into the water. A total genocide. Wait, but you're complaining Israel's genociding you in Gaza, but you want to genocide Jews in Israel. Well, yeah, but I mean, our cause is righteous. Okay, well, now that I can understand what your perspective is, thank you for sharing it. My head hurts from all these conversations I have with varied groups of people that have very different opinions, and it's just trying to make sense of it becomes maddening. James O'Keefe here says, as millions rushed to file for taxes yesterday, remember when IRS official Alex Mena literally sprinted down 7th Avenue after I showed him hidden camera footage of himself calling the IRS's AI surveillance of Americans' bank accounts unconstitutional. He denied his own identity, saying that's not me, but when confronted, all he could say is, I'm really sorry. Bobby Kennedy claims that we know less than 1% of the vaccine injuries and reveals a plan to share data globally. It's outrageous that we don't have a surveillance system. Oh, here. CDC.gov, WHO.int, CISA.gov/rumor control. And YouTube, you're ridiculous. If you want us to say that and there's a topic that you don't think we should be able to talk about, you know what? Grow up. Put your own label like this over top of it and don't delete our fucking content. Sorry, I'm just a little agitated at YouTube. And I have to keep putting this stupid disclaimer on the thing. I have to say it over and over in the hopes that they won't delete my new current thing because I'm discussing what our Director of Health and Human Services is saying. Could you imagine living in a world where you're persecuted and you can't say what you think? Yes, libertarian perfectionists. Yes, I can. It's been happening to me forever on the internet. Sorry, just the perfectionist libertarians are so annoying to me. And they're partially annoying because they make sense and I agree with them. But pragmatically, dial it back. Why don't you focus 1/10 of your rage on the bigger problem here? 1/10. Because they don't. It's easier to be pious, high and mighty. I have the superior position. I would never allow a single bad thing to happen. Meanwhile, allows 99 bad things to happen. Because they can't do the one thing that might cause one bad thing to happen. Anyway, Bobby's talking about it. He's talking about the reporting systems, capturing fewer than 1% of the injuries. And that's by CDC's own study. They're being accused of taking the data out from people that are damaged. So even the numbers that you are getting, they're grossly distorted from the jump. Anyway, keep your eyes peeled. They're just determined to stop RFK. Marks, Fauci, Gottlieb, Collins, all ghouls that were running that system until recently. And they know what the data is going to show when it's rolled out, says Brian Cates. Carolyn Levitt, she says that President Trump will be signing an executive order barring illegals from obtaining any Social Security benefits. Why are we even doing that? Of course. 2 males brutally assault a taco store owner in St. Clair Shores, Michigan, after one of them was reportedly asked to leave for using the out-of-service bathroom. When the owner asked the man to leave, he broke a window and then returned with a friend to attack the store owner. The 2 men beat the owner to the floor and repeatedly stomped on his head. This is insane. Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen is planning a visit to El Salvador to advocate for MS-13 member Kilmar Abrego Garcia, his return to the U.S. if he's not released by midweek. Roger Stone reminds us that pursuing your own individual foreign policy is a violation of the Logan Act. The FBI should arrest this senator the instant he returns to the country. Yeah, I think I did tell you about this one. They're saying $250,000 bond. This killer was released. Half a million's been raised for his defense for some reason. And so, like, why was the bail dropped? And can the judge be recalled? Why did they drop the bond on this? Dan Caldwell, a top advisor to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was escorted out of the Pentagon after being identified in a leaks probe. Finding the leakers. This guy looks, what a weird picture. Oh, look at that. It looks like the YouTube account no longer exists. Hang on, Team YouTube is still there. We keep asking Team YouTube to remove our strike. So we'll keep you posted. Really frustrating. Here is Tucker Carlson with Conor McGregor. Dublin. The Irish government and the Obama doctrine has been to destroy Ireland through immigration, and it's being exposed for the world to see. Here's a man holding a child, punching a lady, allegedly a lady, someone who's being forced to dress like a ghost, covering her face, getting punched in the face, getting hit in the face, all while carrying a little child. And the comment says, this culture is fundamentally incompatible with Western civilization. I don't know what we're watching. I don't know what culture we're watching. But doesn't it matter? Look at this, punching her right in the face. And you just want to open up your border and let any type of person with any type of ideals into your country to bring their culture in. People that think this is okay. You thoroughly vet the people that you're bringing in to see if they're going to be a net positive to your country or not. That would be a net negative. Not all cultures believe and value the same things. Not all societies protect people the same way. So yeah, Cat Turd says Democrats' 21% approval rating is about to go to 12%. Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen going to El Salvador to show solidarity with a deported MS-13 gang member. All right, good luck with that. And let's get the details on the case. I'm actually fine with double checking the details of the case. Alan Dershowitz here says the quiet part out loud regarding Carmelo Anthony case. He says, if the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this story. And that's Dershowitz telling you what's reality. Now, here's the main topic of the show. Sort of. Let's listen to what Scott Adams says.
There's some new declassified material about that Russia collusion hoax from long ago that Kash Patel just gave to Congress. One of the documents contains handwritten notes by former CIA Director John Brennan in July 2016. So carefully note the date, July 2016. And it details a briefing to Obama and senior officials. And it suggested that Hillary Clinton's campaign approved a plan to tie Trump to Russian interference in the election, allegedly to distract from her email scandal. And the notes outlined the concerns about Russian knowledge of this strategy. So in 2016, Brennan, Obama, and their closest top advisors knew that Hillary Clinton was running an op. And the thing they were worried about is that Russia would find out about the op. Brain exploding. Really?
Yep.
The thing they were worried about is that Russia would find out about the op?
General Mike Flynn, immediately arrest for conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. government, the following, and bring them in for questioning. Obama, Brennan, Jim Clapper, he'll talk. Susan Rice, Jim Comey, he'll talk. Andrew McCabe, he'll talk. This is full-blown treason. Yes, you're damn right. I'm biased about this, but if these people aren't held accountable, they'll do it again and again and again and again. These are communist thugs who use the idea of the ends justifying the means, but that's what's at grave risk of our country. The United States will only remain great if we maintain two examples our founders showed us by their actions. Accountability, something they all held themselves to, and courage, something they all demonstrated. Enough is enough.
They weren't worried about the op? They weren't worried about an insurrection or to change the election? I don't even know what to say about that. It's exactly what you thought it was. From the very beginning, I said to myself, that John Brennan guy, there's something wrong there. That the case that they were trying to put together about General Flynn, they knew early on that there was no evidence that he'd done anything whatsoever. None. And yet they talked about continuing it based on no evidence. Not a little bit of evidence, but based on none. They continued to say maybe they should keep looking, which suggests
pure treason,
that they were just trying to jail him as opposed to worried about actually any crime. Unfrickin' believable. So that was exactly what you thought.
Exactly what we thought. A new study, Charlie Kirk says, uncovered over $100 million in foreign dark money laundered into the U.S. political system via the 1630 fund, pushing far-left ballot initiatives in 25 states. Just the tip of the iceberg. It's time to ban foreign election interference. Bill Maher says Democrats didn't just flirt with woke, they married it, and now it's dragging the whole party off a cliff. If Democrats don't cut ties with the woke cult, they're finished. He says you get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, then the true believers never die. A lot of people say right now the Democrat Party is in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change. Much more centrism is needed. Get rid of the woke baggage. You know, how old school liberal is what I used to describe myself as. Woke would like people to believe that there's some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not. They're usually something that's quite opposite. Liberalism was, we should have a colorblind society and not see race at all. That's not what the woke believe. They're the opposite. Put race at the front of everything. Bill is the canary in the coal mine. If Democrats don't drop the dead weight, they won't just lose power, they'll cease to exist. Agreed. Brad Ombre says Democrat fragility is a sad thing. In just the past 24 hours, Democrats announced that they're canceling HBO subscriptions because Bill Maher dined with Trump. They're vowing never to vote for Gretchen Whitmer again because she went to the White House. And they're throwing away their icy hot Reebok apparel and swearing off Oreos, Hershey's chocolate, Burger King, Papa John's because Shaquille O'Neal shook Trump's hand. Okay. Daisy here says 10 years ago today, I came out as transgender named Ali, freshly 17, excited to start my new life. I thought I had finally figured out why I was so distressed. For some odd reason that is still unclear to me, I absolutely loved looking like a boy. And I really did feel like my internal self was reflected on the outside for the first time. Turns out all of it was a lie. Even though doctors and mental health professionals told me and my parents that absolutely I need to do this for my well-being, it was all a deep, powerful lie. I sat there in the outpatient clinic after spending 6 days for being suicidal, feeling vindicated that my parents were being told to just trust the process. They wouldn't dare go against the professionals, right? Will they deny science and medicine to go on ignoring my true gender identity? They just don't know me. Only I know myself, I thought. I can only imagine how baffled and increasingly hopeless my parents must have felt. I didn't have enough empathy for them to stop. I continued rapidly. 3 years later, my breast tissue would be getting scooped out of my chest and my nipples cut off, reduced in size and sewn back on. I don't know why God let me cause so much damage to myself, The journey that I started seems pointless now. Like there really was no great valuable lesson to be learned from it. No silver lining. I'm just left with a disconcertingly deep voice and zipper tits that can't feed my children. Why? Because this is satanic ideology. Why is this satanic ideology still holding on? It's so obvious to us detransitioners. You cannot change your sex, and no one should try to, and one should never try to. Can we please move on from this nonsense so that I can too? That's a perspective you should hear. Here's a video of what allegedly hit the Pentagon. And they're saying it looks more like a missile. I'm not certain if what I'm looking at, this grainy video, is what it claims to be. But that looks much less like a jet and a lot more like a missile being fired at ground level, which would actually kind of make sense. Yes, David, time for arrests. Well past time for arrests. Health Ranger says this capsule from Jeff Bezos looks like a children's inflatable bouncy toy. Real question, why would Bezos fake this whole thing? What does it accomplish? It's obvious to him that the mission was fake. The capsule was a prop. The women were paid actors, of course, paid to be excited. What do you think about the flight? Do you agree or disagree that the flight was faked? That was supposed to do this. Anyway, I'm trying to get back to using my all of my stingers. All right, what else? MAGA Voice says around 20,000 IRS employees have taken Donald Trump's second buyout offer. Good riddance. Abolish the IRS altogether. People are asking, what happened to the real Alex Jones? Is this the real Alex Jones or is this the real Alex Jones? Remember the John Fetterman conversation? What say you? What is this one here? Brian Cates. They're having a whole conversation here. Check it out on our page at American_media_. Talking about removing fluoride from the county water source. This lady, Commissioner Regalado, isn't just opposing the measure to remove fluoride. She's now actively campaigning against it. So does she stand to gain? Why would you advocate for toxins in your water supply? Laura Logan saying, don't forget Victoria Nuland. General Flynn calls for the arrests of Obama, Brennan, Comey, and others in a plot against Trump. This is why they fear Flynn, says Logan. She'd follow him through the fires of hell. Jack Posobiec asks, did Rachel Marin get due process? Did Laken Riley get due process? No one ever asks that. Or do you mean it's okay to ruin an innocent man's life? No, we're saying the Democrats created a problem and we're fixing it. Maybe show a little bit more outrage to the innocent victims instead of the people that are getting wrapped up in the process of while we're removing the violent monsters who are going to cause future crimes. Oh my gosh, are you advocating for future police? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that all of the violent known people that have snuck into our country need to be taken out, removed from the country, removed, taken out of the United States of America. That's what I'm saying. Elon reminding us twice as many credit cards are issued and active than the total number of government employees, which is crazy. Here's Bukele talking.
What about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers. What about the human right of a woman not to be raped?
All the wrong people, all the bad people.
I mean, what about the human right of kids to
human rights? JD Vance says, consider that Biden allowed approximately 20 million, it's 30 million illegal aliens into our country, placing extraordinary burdens on our country, our schools, hospital, housing, and other essential services that were overwhelmed. On top of that, many of these illegal aliens committed violent crimes or facilitated fentanyl and sex trafficking. That's the situation we inherited. The American people elected the Trump administration to solve this problem. The president has successfully stopped the inflow of illegal aliens, and now we must deport the people who came here illegally. To say the administration must observe due process is to beg the question, what process is due after a function of our resources, the public interest, the status of the accused, the proposed punishment, and so many other factors? To put it in more concrete terms, imposing the death penalty on an American citizen requires more legal process than deporting an illegal alien to their country of origin. When the media and the far left obsess over an MS-13 gang member and demand that he be returned to the U.S. for a third deportation hearing, because they keep saying the first two deportation hearings said you need to go. So I don't know why the left is or the libertarians are not mentioning these hearings. Were these not hearings? Can we review the who, what, where, when, why, how? Was he deported? Two deportation hearings. Did that happen or did that not happen? I don't have a dog in the fight. I just want accuracy. And two stories cannot simultaneously exist at once. At least in this case. Third deportation hearing. What they're really saying is they want the vast majority of illegal aliens to stay here permanently. Here's a useful test. Ask the people weeping over the lack of due process what precisely they propose for dealing with Biden's millions and millions of illegals. And with reasonable resource and administrative judge constraints, does their solution allow us to deport at least a few million people per year? If the answer is no, they've given their game away. They don't want border security. They don't want us to deport the people who've come into our country illegally. They want to accomplish through fake legal process what they failed to accomplish politically, the ratification of Biden's illegal migrant invasion. President Trump and I will not stand for it. Here's hacked crosswalk messages that talk in Elon and Zuckerberg voice.
Also, the home of Tesla engineering. You know, they say money can't buy happiness, and yeah, okay. I guess that's true. God knows I've tried. But it can buy a Cybertruck, and that's pretty sick, right? Right?
That's pretty sick, right?
Fuck, I'm so loud.
It's real.
Hi, this is Mark Zuckerberg, but real ones call me the Zuck. You know, it's normal to feel uncomfortable or even violated as we forcefully insert AI into every facet of your conscious experience. And I just want to assure you, you don't need to worry, because there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Anyway, see ya.
That's fantastic. Elon shared it and laughed at it. That's good. Look, the door opens. And they're like, no, don't open the door yet. Shh. So weird. Health Ranger making another big claim about diploid masses looking like small eggs found in weird fog chemtrail sample from Dr. Jane Ruby. He says he's been incubating the sample for a week at human body temperature in saline solution to mimic human chemistry. And guess what? They're hatching. Okay, we'll follow his assertions there. What is happening here? Texas dad outraged after the daughter was suspended for fighting back against a male bully who slapped and tackled her in class. Teenage boy slapping a girl in the face. The girl immediately points to the teacher and says, "Did you see that? He just hit me." The boy had allegedly harassed her all year. He then punches her several times before they're pulled apart. Both students were suspended for 3 days, claiming it was a mutual fight. There shouldn't be so much confusion on a situation like this. It's plain as day. An assault of a boy on a girl. When did that change to be okay? The girl's father, Danny DeFrancesco, said. And why are they just letting this happen? So weird. Here's John Solomon explaining.
A short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes.
I feel like I'm shouting. Sorry if I'm shouting. Actually, I have a new thought. I'm going to give you the rest. Yeah, this says when corrupt politicians start going to prison, we can start trusting the government again. If you agree, go on our X feed and share that. Showing all these politicians in handcuffs. Until this happens, nothing will change. There is no statute of limitations on treason. The American people want justice. It's time to slap some cuffs. Time to slap some cuffs on politicians. John Brennan is a traitor, and anyone that previously self-identified as communist should be permanently banned from working for the government, especially in the capacity with top secret clearance. The very definition of treason against the sitting president, the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. The Washington Times here has information about the shooter who tried to end President Trump. 5-minute. It's from December, but, get the details, and we need to demand more details. Bongino reminding us that swatting is deadly serious. They're making arrests in New Mexico who are attacking the Republican Party headquarters. Clandestine saying Deputy Director Bongino has another update reiterating how things we cannot see are going on behind the scenes, and that he's frustrated about not being able to respond to critical or laudatory comments. Bongino's telling us as much as he can without telling us. He's saying he hears the public backlash and outrage. He's going to deliver. He hears you. He knows the people demand accountability, and he knows you want to know everything about Epstein, Butler, election fraud, Vegas, J6, Russiagate, and everything in between. Trump and his team are telling us that they are getting their ducks in a row. Whether you believe them or not is irrelevant. We have no choice but to wait and see. And finally, this is the Solomon Report.
A short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan. Hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director,
Treason.
Knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a mere civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
There you go. We know it to be true. Now you know it to be true. It is what it is. Who was right? Who's got the good batting average here? Go back and look at the New American Media. Look at our archive of the past 14 years on YouTube. Link up with us in all the places, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and check in with us. We will be back. I think our show might be later tomorrow. It won't be at the regular time. It'll be later. So just get ready for a later show tomorrow. And we appreciate you joining us today. David, everybody else watching online. Until next time, I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Don't let them get away with this. Time for the arrests. Otherwise,